And you know what? Maybe I'm being unfair. Maybe I'm setting unrealistic expectations for him. But if I had to pick anybody other than CJ Stroud to make the jump to being the next QB1, it would be this guy. Headliner Nation, with 6 quarterbacks drafted in the first round this year, there is absolutely going to be some movement in our quarterback rankings. So how many of those rookies made it into the top 24? How many veterans solidified themselves? We're going to break it all down right now. But don't forget, if you're looking to get well ahead of your competition, our 2024 Fantasy Football Draft Guide is already available. And if you head over to thefantasyheadliners.com and purchase yours right now, you're going to get instant access to tons of Dynasty content. But the best part about this is we're going to be updating it periodically until the beginning of the season with tons of redraft content as well. So regardless of what type of league you play in, we've got you covered. And if this video can get 500 likes, I'm gonna pick someone from the comment section to give one to for free. But for now, my quarterback one heading into 2024 is going to be Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts being my quarterback one is actually pretty simple. If you take a look at all of the quarterbacks after him, I believe Jalen Hurts offers you the best upside due to his ability to throw it through the air, having great weapons around him, and of course, what he does on the ground. Now, some people are going to say Saquon Barkley might take a little bit away from him, but I really don't think they're going to stop utilizing Jalen Hurts the way that they have been. And number 2, it's going to be Patrick Mahomes. And if it wasn't for the rushing touchdown upside of Jalen Hurts, Patrick Mahomes would be number 1 pretty easy for me. They reworked that wide receiver core this offseason, and we should see that offense being dynamic as it once was a couple of years ago. At number 3, I'm going to take the reigning NFL MVP, Lamar Jackson. He's going to do some good stuff through the air. He's going to do some good stuff on the ground as well. This offense last season really fit Lamar Jackson very well, and hopefully with Zay Flowers going into year 2, Mark Andrews being fully healthy, this offense can take another step and take Lamar Jackson with it. I'm going to go CJ Stroud at number 4. This guy could be in for an absolute banger of a season. I am really excited to see what he's going to do with Nico Collins after his breakout year. Tank Dell in year 2. You've added Stephon Diggs. The running game has Joe Mixon right now. For me personally, the Houston Texans may be the front runners in the AFC. And I know you fans out there in Kansas City aren't going to be happy with me saying that, but I'm sorry. I'm really excited to see what this team can do, and CJ Stroud should be a fantasy asset. At number 5, I'm going to go with Josh Allen. And quite honestly, it took a lot for me not to drop him down even further. I'm not a big fan of what they've done with the offense this offseason. He's lost one of his number 1 weapons that really helped him turn into a breakout quarterback a few years ago in Stephon Diggs, and replaced him with a rookie that we really don't know what he's going to get as of yet. Will this offense look a lot different? Will Josh Allen still run the ball on the ground? I think that there is a lot of question marks with him, and that's why I've got to move him down substantially. Anthony Richardson is at quarterback 6 for me, and I really want to go a lot higher with him. And you know what? Maybe I'm being unfair. Maybe I'm setting unrealistic expectations for him. But if I had to pick anybody other than CJ Stroud to make the jump to being the next QB1, it would be this guy. He's got really good weapons in this offense. He's got Jonathan Taylor in the backfield. Hopefully the offensive line is a little bit better this year. Really the big thing for Anthony Richardson is just staying healthy. If he can play 17 games this year, we should see some absolutely insane numbers out of him. And quite honestly, he could end up going a lot higher than this. At number 7, I'm going to go with Joe Burrow. And the only reason I don't go higher with him is because we really don't know what we're going to get with him coming back from that wrist injury last year. That is not an injury that a lot of quarterbacks have to deal with, and there are some issues with hand strength after having that type of a wrist injury. My hope is that Joe Burrow will be just fine, but you've lost Tyler Boyd, you've lost Joe Mixon. T. Higgins isn't the most happy wide receiver in the world right now. I really don't know what this offense is going to look like. I got to give some more love to Brock Purdy here. I think putting him up at number 7 is pretty freaking realistic, given the fact that Christian McCaffrey is still going to suck a lot of fantasy points away from Brock Purdy. But as of right now, with Debo and Ayuk still in town, plus George Kittle, you added Ricky Pearsall as well in the draft. I absolutely love what this offense is going to look like in 2024. 2024, and it should lead to some pretty big numbers for Purdy. The Green Bay Packers tried to enhance the run game by adding Josh Jacobs, and we'll see if that helps Jordan Love at all. Now, the wide receiver core, I think, could still be one of the most underappreciated wide receiver cores in the NFL. Maybe they aren't spectacular. Maybe they don't have that big name that stands out, but everybody should get it done. You got Tucker Kraft and Luke Musgrave at the tight end position, and this offense should be humming once again. A full season from Kyler Murray should put him inside the top 12. We've added Marvin Harrison Jr. to that offense. Trey McBride has become an absolute weapon in the NFL at tight end, and hopefully James Conner can stay healthy, and if not, Trey Benson will be ready to step in and help out. This offense should be a lot better than what we saw last year, and hopefully more consistent. Jared Goff does not get a ton of love as being a top-tier quarterback, and I can understand why. If you take a look at the numbers, they're good. They're not great, they're not crazy, but they get the job done. But this offense in 2024 should be absolutely insane once again. They've got weapons all over the place, and another year with this offensive scheme should make them one of the best teams in all of football. I'm going to put Tua at number 12, and here's my big thing with Tua. It's the injuries on this Miami team. We saw Tyreek Hill miss time last year. We saw Jalen Waddle miss time last year. This run game for Miami was really enhanced last season and helped keep things balanced for them. And of course, Tua himself is always one hit away from missing several games due to a concussion. I would like to go a lot higher with him, and we're going to see some games where he ends up finishing a lot higher. But I also think this Miami offense can unfortunately disappear at times, and because of that, it makes him a little unstable. At number 13, I'm going with Dak Prescott. Now, this Dallas offense is going to look a little bit different than what we're used to. You still have CeeDee Lamb and you still have Jake Ferguson, but I don't feel like, you have that really reliable number 3 weapon on this team. Brandon Cooks was okay at times last year. Was he underutilized? Did he not fit into the system? I really don't know about that. And then your running game, you lost Tony Pollard, but you replaced him with Zeke Elliott, who Tony Pollard replaced last year. It just doesn't feel like Jerry Jones, when he said, "We're all in," really understood the assignment. I can't quite put Caleb Williams inside the top 12. He's going to be super close, but I also believe that Caleb Williams is going to be a little volatile at times. Now, he's absolutely gifted. He's a really good quarterback, and he's got a lot of weapons around him. But the offensive line still is not going to be really good this year. And on top of that, we've seen Caleb Williams struggle at times at the college level when he tries to put everything on himself and he tries to meet unrealistic expectations. My hope is that he doesn't do that at the NFL and he learns his lessons quickly, but you never know. I would expect everything with Aaron Rodgers to end up being just fine. I mean, this is a guy that apparently almost came back and played last year and could have potentially played if the New York Jets made the postseason. Now, he should be ready to go for this season. Hopefully, after having this year off, he's able to get back, look good, look healthy, and be strong. He's got some weapons around him in this offense, but are they going to rely on Breece Hall? Are they going to let Aaron Rodgers do his thing? There might be a couple of question marks there. I'm not willing to go too high with him because there's some guys I like ahead of him, but he should be a pretty safe bet this year. For Kirk Cousins, a lot of it is just going to be how healthy will he be come week 1. He's got some good weapons, but they're going to have to build up chemistry. They're going to have to learn together. Cousins has been with the same guys for the last few years in the same system. Now, when you take a look at him moving into a new system, you have to hope that they gel and make that chemistry really quickly and that he doesn't see any effects from that Achilles injury last year. Justin Herbert absolutely plummets for me. I don't mind what they have done so far this offseason, but you lost your best wide receiver in Keenan Allen. You lost your starting running back in Austin Eckler. You got rid of Mike Williams, and you replaced them with some guys that are like the discount dollar store versions of them. Now, Chargers fans are excited for Ladd McConkey, and that's fine. I'm not as excited, but that's okay. We can disagree on that. I do like Josh Palmer stepping up to be a bigger part of this offense this year, but Jim Harbaugh is going to run the football. And this offense that you see this year is probably going to be a lot different than what you're used to. Jaden Daniels for Washington definitely has some of the highest upside, but some of the most risk when it comes to the rookie quarterbacks. I hope that they let him run a little bit. Now, hopefully he doesn't take a bunch of hits like Anthony Richardson did last year, and he's able to either slide or get out of bounds. But we're going to see some rushing yards and rushing touchdowns from him, and we'll see how quickly he can form into the passing game there in Washington, and how quickly he can get himself to a point where he is being a consistent producer through the air. Unfortunately, Trevor Lawrence was a huge disappointment last year, and the Jacksonville Jaguars front office has done a lot to try and revamp that offense for him. But this is going to be the year where we find out what Trevor Lawrence actually is. If he can't bounce back, then he's going to start to have bust written all over him. With Matthew Stafford, my biggest thing is just health. Health for him, health for Cooper Kupp. The running game should be really strong again this year with Kyren Williams and Blake Corum in the backfield, and if it is, maybe they don't have to rely on throwing it so much. But Matthew Stafford just always feels like he's one hit away from missing significant time. Will Levis absolutely could take a step forward this year. They tried to improve the run game for him. They went out and got him another wide receiver in Calvin Ridley. He had really good chemistry with DeAndre Hopkins last year, who will also be back. Will Levis has an opportunity to make one of the biggest jumps for any rookie quarterback from 2023. Baker Mayfield last season in Tampa was actually pretty darn good, and you're returning a lot of the same offensive weapons in the same scheme, and they paid Baker Mayfield. Now, hopefully the contract doesn't mess that up, but the bake show should be ready to cook once again. Deshaun Watson in Cleveland has just been one big question mark after another so far. And really, for me, I think Cleveland is starting to get to a point where they just don't trust the guy. I mean, when Joe Flacco comes in last year and does a lot better than what Deshaun Watson did, I think that answers a lot of questions that we have. Is he going to be able to stay healthy? Is he going to be able to stay on the field? And even if he does, is he going to be able to succeed? Because so far in Cleveland, he hasn't been able to be consistent in any part of the game. And for my top 24, I'm going to wrap it up with J.J. McCarthy. He's got way too many weapons around him in Minnesota to not be at least a little bit successful this year. And he should see some yards on the ground. Now, I don't think he's going to run as much as like Jaden Daniels will, but he's going to use his legs and his athleticism to get outside the pocket and to pick up some yards and maybe even some rushing touchdowns on top of that. He's got one of the best situations for any rookie quarterback. It's just all going to depend on whether or not he starts right away. And I wouldn't be surprised if they go with Sam Darnold to start, but we don't see J.J. McCarthy by the quarter point of the season. Now, there might be a few guys just on the outside looking in that you're wondering about, so let me just touch on them super quick. Geno Smith has some good weapons around him, but I also think he could potentially lose his job to Sam Howell this season. Daniel Jones is Daniel Jones. Yeah, you gave him a Ferrari and Malik Neighbors, but he's been driving a Toyota his entire life. He's not going to know what to do with that car. Speaking of cars, Derek Carr should be set up for success this year, and hopefully after a full year in that system, he's a little bit more comfortable, but we saw a lot of up and downs last year, and I don't know if that changes. Bryce Young has an improved offense around him. Hopefully he can take advantage of that. The Pittsburgh quarterbacks, Russell Wilson and Justin Fields, I just don't know who it's going to be. Are these guys going to switch on and off? Will there be different packages for these guys? I think Justin Fields could end up taking over for Russell Wilson, and Wilson could have a shorter leash. There's just a lot of question marks about who's going to be the guy out there. We don't know who the starter in Las Vegas is going to be yet. I'm not nearly ready to bet on Bo Nix being the savior of the Denver Broncos. And Drake May should be pretty good, but I don't love the weapons around him. And if there's any other quarterbacks that I didn't mention in this video, let me know down in the comments below, and I'll give you my take on them for as many comments as possible. But don't forget, if you leave a comment, hit the like button as well, because if we get 500 likes, one of those comments is going to get a free draft guide. But for now, Headliner Nation, I'm going to get out of here. Peace out, stay safe, stay healthy, and I'll catch you all on the next episode of the Fantasy Headliners.